So you're becoming a parent in South Africa? That's amazing. But did you know there are a whole bunch of new rights you have at work that you might not even know about? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what these new parental leave laws mean for you, so you can just focus on the exciting stuff.
If you are expecting a new arrival, first of all, a huge congratulations. This is such an exciting time. But let's be real, it can also bring up a ton of questions, especially about work, right? So let's just take that one piece of stress right off your plate. We're going to get super clear on what you're actually entitled to.
All right, here's the plan. First, we'll touch on why these changes are such a big deal. Then, we'll get into who actually qualifies and for what. After that, we'll cover the nuts and bolts, how to claim your leave, and the all-important money side of things. Simple as that. Let's jump in.
Okay, so first things first. It's really important to get this. We are in a totally new era for parents in South Africa. Seriously, the law has changed in a big, big way. And for the better.
And this change is, well, it's massive. Think about it. We've gone from the old way, which was pretty much just focused on birth mothers, to a brand new, way more inclusive approach that supports all parents. It's a huge step forward that actually reflects what families look like today.
So, when we talk about being more inclusive, that naturally brings up the next big question, right? Who exactly qualifies now? Let's figure out if this is for you.
And you know what? The answer is actually pretty simple, which is great. If you're an employee and you become a parent, you are covered. That's it. This is where you really see that inclusivity in action. We're talking biological parents, adoptive parents, and commissioning parents through surrogacy. It's a really broad definition for today's families.
Okay, so you know if you qualify. Now let's get down to the good stuff. What do you actually get? There are 3 different types of leave, and you've got to know which one is yours.
All right, check this out. We've got parental leave, adoption leave, and commissioning leave. The really big difference to spot right away is the time. You've got 10 times days for parental leave. That's for the parent who isn't giving birth. But then you've got a much bigger 10 weeks for both adoption and commissioning leave. Let's just zoom in on those numbers for a sec.
So yeah, 10 weeks. For adoptive parents and for the primary parent in a surrogacy, you get 10 full weeks. I mean, think about that. That's over 2 months of protected time where you can just focus on bonding with your new child. That's huge.
And then for fathers, or the parent who isn't the primary caregiver in these other situations, it's 10 consecutive days. So figuring out which of these buckets you fall into, that's step 1 to getting what you're owed.
Okay, so knowing your rights is awesome, but it's only half the battle, right? Now for the practical stuff. How do you actually, claim this leave? Let's walk through the steps together.
First things first, and this one's a deal breaker. You have to have been with your current employer for at least 4 months. That's the minimum to qualify. So maybe just double check that start date on your contract, just to be sure.
Here's another super important detail about timing. You have to take your leave all at once, in one single, uninterrupted block. It kicks in from the day your child arrives, and you can't, take a week here and a week there, so you've really got to plan for that solid chunk of time off. Okay, giving notice is super straightforward. It's basically 3 steps. 1, put it in writing. An email is perfect. 2, be really clear about which leave you're taking and the dates you expect. And 3, give them at least 1 month's notice, if you can. The sooner, the better, obviously.
All right, let's get to the question everyone really wants to know the answer to. What about the money? How do I get paid? And what other rights do I have? This is the really important fine print.
Okay, deep breath. The first thing you need to know is that legally, your employer does not have to pay you for this leave. I know, that sounds scary. But, and this is a really big but, there is a whole system in place to make sure you have financial support.
And that system is the Unemployment Insurance Fund, or UIF. As long as you've been making contributions, which you probably have, you can claim benefits from them. That's going to be your main source of income. Now, your employer can choose to pay you something on top of that, but they don't have to by law. So, the biggest piece of advice here, get that UIF claim started as early as you possibly can.
Okay, here's a question I hear all the time, and it causes a lot of confusion. Can your boss just say, hey, just use your annual leave for this?
The answer to that is a hard no. Absolutely not. They are 2 totally separate things in the eyes of the law. Think of it this way. Annual leave is for you to rest and recharge. Parental leave is for bonding with your new child. Your employer cannot, I repeat, cannot force you to use one for the other, period.
All right, what about couples? If both of you are working, do you have to share the 10 days or the 10 weeks?
Nope, you don't have to share. And this is another really amazing part of the new law. This leave is for you, the individual. It's not a family pool of time off. So if both parents qualify, you both get to take your own full, separate leave.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with the 3 key takeaways. The 3 things you absolutely have to remember. 1. Know which of the 3 leave types is yours. 2. Give your boss at least a month's notice, in writing. And 3. Plan your finances and get ready to claim from the UIF. If you nail those 3 things, you're going to have a much smoother ride.
So, at the end of the day, the law has finally caught up with what a modern family looks like. The real question now is, has company culture caught up? Knowing your rights is the first step in pushing for that change. So have a think about it. Is your workplace ready for the modern parent? It's a question worth asking. Thanks for tuning in.